The case of Naresh Kumar Nagesvaran, a 28-year-old Singaporean of Indian origin, recently sentenced to 14 weeks in jail for failing to fulfill his mandatory national service obligations, underscores the stringent nature of Singapore's military service law. His conviction has reignited discussions on the balance between national duty and individual circumstances, particularly for overseas Singaporeans who may not fully comprehend their legal obligation. Now, for Indians who are there in Singapore or those who are even considering Singapore to work or study, this case serves as a critical lesson in navigating the country's citizenship and residency requirement. Singapore enforces a compulsory military service policy requiring all the male citizens and permanent residents to serve at least 2 years in the military, police, or civil defense forces upon reaching 18 years of age. This law applies regardless of whether they are physically present in Singapore or they have spent most of their lives abroad. Failure to comply results in significant legal consequences, including fines, imprisonment, and even loss of citizenship. Now, for Indian origin families who relocate to Singapore, the concept of compulsory military service may not be familiar. Unlike India, where military service is voluntary, Singapore mandates it as a national duty, making it imperative for Indian parents to understand these obligations if their child is born or raised in Singapore. Born in Singapore, Naresh moved to India at the age of 7 following his parents' separation. His mother took full custody and raised him in India, where he completed his further education. However, under Singaporean law, his citizenship still carried the obligation to serve in NS. By the age of 13, Singaporean authorities sent a notice to his last known address in Singapore, reminding him of his military duty. Since he was living in India, he needed an exit permit to remain abroad legally without violating NS law. He applied for 2 such permits. First in 2010 to 2012, obtained online, then in 2012 and 2013, applied in person with his uncle at the Central Manpower Base in Singapore. However, after 2013, Naresh failed to renew his exit permit and remained in India for over 5 additional years without any compliance. Upon his return to Singapore in 2019, authorities arrested him at the airport, holding him accountable for evading NS duties. Naresh's defense argued that he was unaware of his obligations, claiming that his late mother managed all his paperwork and that he was never explicitly informed about his duties. He further said that he did not sign a 2014 document requesting an extension of his exit permit, asserting that it was in his mother's handwriting. However, the court dismissed all the claims, citing A. his personal visit to CMPB in 2012, which demonstrated awareness of NS obligations. B. Official travel records confirming his presence in Singapore at the time of his permit applications. Well, all these things showed failure to comply with NS law automatically resulted in penalties. Singapore's High Court, led by Chief Justice Menon, upheld the conviction, sentencing Naresh to 14 weeks in jail. The Ministry of Defence later confirmed that since 2017, 29 NS defaulters had been sentenced to imprisonment, reinforcing the government's unwavering stance on the matter. Now, let's talk about the key takeaways for Indian families and professionals in Singapore. Now, for all the Indian origin in Singapore, this place offers robust economic opportunity, but its strict legal framework demands compliance. Families settling in Singapore must be aware that if their child is a citizen or permanent resident, they are legally bound to serve in the NS. The failure to fulfill this duty can lead to serious consequences, including arrest upon re-entry. Secondly, Singapore is a preferred destination for Indian students seeking higher education. However, if a student holds Singaporean citizenship or permanent residency status, they are still legally obliged to complete NS before pursuing further studies or even employment. Parents and students must consider this factor when making long-term educational and career plans. Thirdly, many Indian professionals apply for Singapore PR due to career benefits. But this status comes with NS obligations for their male children. Some families, upon realizing this, renounce PR and return to India to avoid NS commitments. Now, this decision must be made strategically, as renouncing PR can impact future work and residency opportunity in Singapore. Having an overseas citizen of India card does not exempt a Singaporean citizen from NS obligations. If an individual of Indian origin holds a Singapore passport but that person resides abroad, they remain legally accountable under Singaporean law and they can face legal action if they attempt to return without fulfilling their NS duties. Well, the case of Naresh Kumar Nagesvaran highlights Singapore's rigid enforcement of NS law, emphasizing that military service is a non-negotiable obligation for eligible citizens and PRs. For Indian origin individuals considering Singapore for education, work, or residency, understanding these regulations is your priority. Ultimately, this case serves as a cautious tale for those unaware of Singapore's strict legal framework. While the country offers immense opportunity, compliance with its law is very important. As Singapore continues to uphold its national security policy, individuals must make informed decisions regarding citizenship, residency, and long-term commitment to avoid any legal repercussions. So, should Singapore consider reforming its approach for individuals who have spent most of their lives abroad? Or does its strict stance remain essential for national security? Well, the debate continues.